I see you. Your eyes. Your hands. Your chips. Everything. So I don't need to see your cards. We play at fulltailpoker.com.
Diego Cordovez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
For The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. And we had Matt Hawrilenko, aka Haas TBF. Very interesting, very articulate young man.
A little too smart for my tastes.
Not a smart Alec, but
no,
a little
just
too
smart. Yeah.
So if you missed part 1, it's on Card Player TV, and we're going to roll right into part 2.
You mentioned that people might have thought you were tilting. Do you tilt? Do you find yourself letting emotion get to you? And then what do you do if that happens?
I would say if I'm prone to tilt, it's in games that I understand less well.
Mm-hmm.
So limit hold'em, I would say I won't say I never tilt, but I would very rarely tilt. And if I did tilt, it would be like me thinking, oh, I think this is a flat EV decision. I'm going to do the one that increases my variance. You know, like...
And that, by the way, is also the more fun.
Yeah. This guy raised, I have, ace-9, usually I let it go, but I'm going to 3-bet. And you put yourself in more situations to play. Yeah, more fun. So you put yourself in more situations to play hands.
Tilt can be fun.
Yes.
But I think it's a lot easier to tilt, or to perceive yourself as tilting, in games that you don't understand as well. For example, I recently started playing Deuce to 7 Triple Draw. I love the game, and I'm terrible at it. Like, I never know what is going on. So then it's like, yeah, if I'm really confused or whatever, I'll put in the extra bet, or I'll make the extra loose call, or whatever. So I think that's where it happens.
You talk about tilting or playing against people who are tilting. One of the best things that I would recommend, just for pure entertainment value, is that on your blog, you have a transcript of a session that you played 3-handed against Phil Hellmuth.
Yeah.
And Phil is such a whipping boy in poker. It's very easy to make fun, even though he's a great person. But this is a classic transcript. It's a 3-handed, high limit hold'em game. So, there's tons of hands and tons of beats, which is the nature of the game. And Phil just completely goes on tilt. Obvious chat tilt is.
I want to say that this. Of course, I've studied this transcript, and I consider myself a connoisseur of chat tilt. And this was the greatest single instance of chat tilt in the history of poker. Because of who's involved and what's said.
And it's very funny because Phil is in full tilt mode and he says all these crazy things, and you insert these kind of deadpan lines, which I don't know if you intended, but obviously to someone who's tilting, these kind of deadpan lines just make them tilt even further, because you're inadvertently feeding them, even if that wasn't your intention.
Yeah, with most people you'd think that, but Phil, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, is just the most egoistic, self-centered person in the world. He probably wasn't even reading my chat. Like, he was probably just, like, typing in his spew, and then, whatever these peons say.
He was ignoring most of your chat. At one point you said, because you'd been joking around with him, but you said something to the effect of, Phil, I'm not kidding now, you really should do your breathing exercises. I don't want you to have an attack, which I don't know, it seemed sincere on your part.
No, it was honestly...
You didn't want him, maybe because then he'd quit the game, or maybe just as a human gesture.
No, well, that one was honestly kind of genuine, because someone had directed me to his blog, I don't know if it was a week before that or something, and he talked about, like, having a panic attack after like a losing session on UB and rolling around on the floor, and I actually debated whether or not I should just eliminate that part from the transcript when I posted it, but I'm like, alright.
I think kind of hilarious, and he kind of deserves it. It's like the Frost Nixon interviews. This could be a movie like Frost Nixon. Hawrilenko, Hellmuth.
I recommend, is that Hawrilenko.com or HaasTBF.com?
It's livejournal.com/
I really recommend it.
_TBF.
I mean, you see, actually, I recommend it in the sense that you actually do get insight into shorthanded limit hold'em, which Phil, the one thing that he types about literally 100 or 200 times is OP, overplayer, overplayer.
Oh my god, yeah.
And, you know, which
is
is
a three-handed game
in a
also.
three-handed game, you know, where Phil is playing this kind of no-limit strategy. He's kind of limping with the aces and slow-playing hands.
No, but the best part is, like,
you know,
he's typing OP, 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 overplay, overplay, overplay. Right. Then, like, we play some hand where it goes, like, 4 bets before the flop, or 3 bets before the flop, 3 ways, and then the flop comes, like, King, King, 7, and I have, like, King, Jack suited.
Right.
And, you know, we go 4 bets on the flop. I bet, he raises the turn, I make it 3 bets, and then he folds, and he starts OP, 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 OP. I'm like, who is overplaying there?
Right.
Me or you? And he responds, well, and I don't remember what the hand is, well, I had pocket 6s. I'm like, that answers that question.
Well, the great thing about it is that there's a lot of irony, which Phil is, of course, not conscious about at all.
I'm writing my memoir about Phil. It's called The Pot Calling the Kettle Black.
Yeah,
the
the unintended irony. And he had actually one line that I thought, it was fantastic because, first of all, it was like educational about limit hold'em, but also about Phil's whole thinking. And I'm paraphrasing, but basically, because he also called you a moron about 50 times.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, "You moron, you're raising every time you have you're a tiny favorite." And I was like, isn't that the whole essence of limit hold'em? If you could crystallize what limit hold'em is about, it's like getting your money in when you're a tiny favorite over and over and over. And he's like, this is very much the no-limit thinking, which is, well, in a no-limit tournament, maybe you don't want to get all your money in as a small favorite because you get knocked out of the tournament, there's going to be a better spot. But when you're playing three-handed limit hold'em, if you're a 0.00001% favorite, you want to bet or raise. The tough part is identifying when you are.
Yeah, I mean, that one I really thought he was saying tongue-in-cheek, but maybe he
wasn't.
Because I don't think he says anything tongue-in-cheek.
It's not tongue-in-cheek. Yeah. I mean, it would be great if it was. It's just like completely not self-aware, no sense of irony.
If you had been Northern European in addition to the other goings on, his head might have literally exploded. Well, you know how he feels about Northern Europeans.
Yeah, but again, I think he deals with so much of this interaction that he can't even keep track of it because everywhere he goes, he's kind of a lightning rod for this sort of interaction. He was at my table, fairly deep in the limit hold'em tournament here, and a guy sat down, and he had kind of all this kind of Euro gear on, and another guy at the table said, "Where are you from? Are you from Europe?" And he's like, "From Holland," and he goes, "I'm a Northern European idiot." And Phil didn't even blink. But I mean, not even that he just took it in and ignored it. It's just that he deals with so much, abuse / chatter that he probably doesn't even remember that incident. He has so many since then.
I'm sure. Like I think I've met him now 3 times, and I'm sure, like, still, even after that transcript got pushed around the internet, he'd have no idea who I am.
Yeah, he doesn't put together the name.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that it also became evident that he had no idea that, you have a really strong reputation in shorthanded limit hold'em, and have played everyone, played the highest stakes, and he's just thinking, hey, this overplayer, this is great, I'll play against him.
Oh my god, I hesitate to say this. I never like to say anything bad about my opponents, but
go ahead.
Maybe it was a one-off thing, although he played me once or twice subsequently, but if I had his cards and I were trying to lose my money, I don't think I could have played as badly as he played. Like, let's just guarantee I get all this money in when I'm, like, way behind.
As quickly as possible.
Yeah. Like I'll say one thing. Maybe he didn't make the most money from me that he could have with his hands, but he sure as hell surprised me every time he turned one over. It was like, these pots are tiny, and he's like, top set. Didn't see that one coming.
Well, Phil once told a limit hold'em player, and this is a tournament situation, that we know that the guy has talent, but he 3-bets too much. That's really just not in line.
In limit hold'em.
Yeah.
You seem to 3-bet quite a bit. All right, that might be me. But
yeah, it was Diego.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is years ago. Now, on a completely different subject, because we have to give you your props.
Yes.
It may have gotten lost in all the build-up to the main event, but you won the final event, final preliminary event, the 6-handed no limit hold'em, which is a big deal. I mean,
that's awesome.
like 6 max, no limit, and one of the bigger tournaments, like $1 million first prize. So, and what I liked is the fact that I follow you online. I know you play very high stakes and have done very well, but you seem actually giddy about winning. You seem really excited. I mean, if I had to rank like the 50, is it just 56 or more?
That was event number 56, yeah.
I guess there were 52 winners since there were the duplicates, but of all the winners, you were like in the top 5 of just like visible satisfaction and excitement, which was great to see, you know, that you're not like cynical about it.
Well, I was pretty psyched. I mean, generally I am pretty cynical about tournament poker, although that's eroded a bit this series. But, yeah, you know, my last couple World Series have been pretty meh, like cashing for $4 like a few times.
That's my specialty.
You know, going
6.
deep and losing the flips. And, you know, in this tournament I kind of, you know, I managed to, Jared Ankerman, who's my housemate, who won a bracelet in the 2,500 8-game mix, said after his tournament, he's like, you know, I think I really excelled at the most important skill of tournament poker this year, and that's in clumping my luck.
Right.
And like that's the thing, right? Like, would you rather win like 1 coin flip in 5 tournaments or 5 coin flips in 1? It's not even close.
And timing your luck, of course.
Yeah.
As opposed to winning the first level when the blinds are 10 or 20.
And fortunately, putting the luck in the tournament with, you know, one of the biggest payouts. So yeah, I was pretty psyched, and it's a much nicer feeling going into the main event with, well, hey, I want money no matter how badly I play, rather than, oh, get me unstuck, come on.
Right.
So,
But was it
super free rolling the entire World Series and future World Series? That's awesome.
Yeah.
But was it important to you just as far as either your self-perceived stature or just, you know, conquering kind of a different arena in poker, or what other elements went into it?
Well, you know, my friends will make fun of me for saying this, because we joke about bracelets for the money. Like, people are like, oh, I'd so much rather have the bracelet. Like, oh, I'd sell it to you. But,
for $1 million?
But, like, I mean, that was the first feeling, like, oh, I won one. It's like overwhelming relief. Like, finally, I'm not that guy in the house who can't win a tournament.
Right.
So, yeah, I got one. It was also nice to get one outside. I mean, I was at the 10K limit hold'em final table, too, and I was pretty sad when I didn't win that one, because that one would have been really sweet. But it's nice to have one in non-limit hold'em, because I feel like as I've kind of come up through the ranks and expanded through different games or whatever, people, like, I've heard all this stuff about me, like, oh, yeah, he can only play limit hold'em, and then, like, he can only play heads up. He doesn't know how to play, like, 6-handed games. And then, like, I did okay in those, and then, you know, I started playing some horse games, like, yeah, he's pretty shit crazy in those other games, but you know, he can only play limit hold'em. So it's nice to have a little bit of success.
People have to find some way to put you down. It's like, well, he's not a professional race car driver.
Yeah. When people say that, that is so easily dismissed. And also, of course, it's a matter of experience, but you're not going to be as strong right away, as you point out, in the deuce to 7 triple draw.
Yeah,
right.
But you know what? That's a game that requires a lot of logic and can be modeled in a lot of ways. If you play a fair amount of that, you're going to be extremely strong at that game as well.
And I mean, how dare someone invest some time and money in learning something?
Right. Well, it's yeah, I don't really care, but it's nice to have those wins, and I know I have a lot to learn in the other games, but I actually think that one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of poker players make is not giving their opponents enough credit. Like, I think if you approach poker with a bit of humility, like, you stand to learn so much more, and you give the other guy the benefit of the doubt, like, instead of just assuming he's a donkey, let's look at why he might have made that play. Like, that's kind of how I learned, you know, and I think it's a very useful way to go.
You won't accuse me of that. No, because I always say,
no, I do.
Well, because if I see someone limp in 6-max limit hold'em, then I slap a label on Diego. You know, I should be a little more broad-minded.
Well, what I mean by broad-minded is that even if they're losing players, that doesn't mean that every single thing they do is bad. Maybe they just have too many bad things because the edges are so small that you can't afford too many leaks. But someone may be a losing player. They may still have a couple things that you want to copy from them.
I'm not
because they have good aspects that are overridden by their bad, but you can learn from their good, and you have to respect their good. Even someone who makes like some fundamental mistakes, maybe they're, you know, capable of making really good play on the river or something, and you can't just dismiss the possibility of them making that play just because their pre-flop strategy is poor or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. And well, one thing I often find is, you know, if someone makes a play and I say, oh, well, what was he trying to do there? And, you know, I figure out what I think he was trying to do. I'm like, well, you know, I don't think that's quite appropriate for this situation. But if he'd done it in that situation, now that could actually be useful, and I might add it to my game. Like, I mean,
they mistimed it, but
right,
it was
they
a
had
good idea.
They had an idea, or they had a spark of an idea, and just because they didn't do it 100% correctly doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
I mean, I can honestly say I think I've learned a lot from some of the guys who maybe I've beaten for the most in heads-up limit hold'em, just because, you get to play some pretty good players when you play high stakes, and
Well, some people are losing players because they tilt too much, they exhibit poor game selection, or they're just too loose or whatever. But if it weren't for that, the rest of their play actually
is really tough.
Is tough. So, but they can't overcome the other leagues or whatever. The thing I was going to say about the winning the bracelet is I've always thought that it has a lot of value in terms of people who are outside the poker arena. People now are a lot more sophisticated, and now also there's tracking online, and people know, oh, this guy wins a lot or loses a lot online or whatever. But when you meet someone outside of poker, you could say, I'm a very respected player online, and I win 3 big bets per hour. They don't know what you're talking about.
Have you won a bracelet?
But if you say, I want a bracelet in the World Series of Poker, that legitimizes you in their eyes. So it's a great thing, like, just for your parents and relatives and in-laws or such to finally just kind of certify you as legit.
That's entirely true. I got married last summer, and my wife and I are not religious people. We're atheists, and we don't see too much in the kind of tradition of marriage as a religious rite or whatever. But the nice thing about getting married is, you meet someone and you can say, this is my wife, and they get it. Right. And rightly or wrongly, they get it, and it legitimizes it. And I think a bracelet is kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm neither married nor have a bracelet.
Anyhow, on that note, perhaps we'll wrap things up. But it's been a pleasure to have you on. I always wanted to meet the legendary.
Me too.
I really did. And I'm rooting for you in the main event. And in the future, thanks for coming by.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop. Brought to you by Full Tilt Poker, right to us at The Scoop, cardplayer.com.
I've seen just about everything. Seen queens overthrow kings, and straights flushed away. I felt the sweat after every re-raise, and nearly buckled after bad beats. Seen rags lead to riches, and witnessed countless miracles on the river. So if you want to play, take a seat and show me something I haven't seen. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.